For 3,300 years, the most famous face in history has been lying to you. In late 2024, a quantum scanner revealed something beneath that golden surface that shouldn't exist, a name that had been hammered into oblivion. It wasn't Tutankhamun's name. It belonged to a queen who vanished without a trace. And once you see what was hidden, you'll never look at that face the same way again. The discovery that captivated the world, November 1922. The Valley of the Kings, Egypt. British archaeologist Howard Carter has been searching these scorched hills for 6 years. His funding is running out. His patron, Lord Carnarvon, has given him one final season to find something, anything, or the expedition is finished. Then, on November 4th, a young water boy stumbles over a stone step hidden beneath ancient debris. Carter's workers dig furiously for 3 weeks beneath the brutal Egyptian sun. They uncover a descending staircase, then a sealed doorway covered in royal stamps that haven't been touched since antiquity. Carter's hands are trembling as he chisels a small hole into the ancient plaster. Hot, stale air rushes out from within, air that has been sealed in darkness for over 3,000 years. He holds up a candle, peers into the void beyond, and the flickering light reveals shapes emerging from shadow. Gold. Everywhere, the glint of gold. When Lord Carnarvon asks if he can see anything, Carter whispers the words that would echo through history. Yes. Wonderful things. Inside was a treasure hoard beyond imagination. Golden chariots, jeweled thrones, painted statues frozen mid-stride, shrines nested within shrines, gleaming with precious metals that hadn't seen light in over 3 millennia. But buried deep within 3 nested coffins, each more magnificent than the last, lay the one object that would captivate humanity forever. The golden death mask. Consider what you're looking at. 22 pounds of solid gold, heavier than a bowling ball, inlaid with lapis lazuli and turquoise. Eyes of obsidian and quartz that seem to follow you across the room. The ancient Egyptians believed gold was the literal flesh of the gods. This wasn't decoration. This was sacred technology, designed to help the pharaoh's soul recognize its own body in the afterlife. Without it, his spirit would wander lost for eternity. On the back, artisans had carved a spell from the Book of the Dead, divine protection for the journey into darkness. For a century, the world accepted this mask as the ultimate masterpiece of ancient Egypt. Flawless, perfect, made specifically for the boy king who died tragically young. But almost immediately, experts started noticing things that didn't add up, details that made no sense, contradictions that defied explanation. The clues were never hidden. They were right there, gleaming in solid gold. We just refused to see them. The 70-day impossibility. Here's what the official story asks you to believe. King Tutankhamun died, suddenly, probably from an infection after shattering his leg. He was 19 years old. Nobody expected it. Nobody was prepared. Egyptian religious law was absolute. A pharaoh had to be mummified and entombed within exactly 70 days. Not 71, not 69, 70. The cosmic order of the universe depended on this timeline being honored. Now think about what that means. 70 days to carve an entire royal tomb from solid limestone deep within the Valley of the Kings. 70 days to construct 3 elaborate coffins that nest inside each other with millimeter precision. 70 days to gather thousands of burial artifacts fit for divine royalty. And 70 days to create a 22-pound solid gold mask with microscopic details, precious stone inlays, and hand-carved hieroglyphic spells. From scratch, for a death nobody saw coming. It's not possible. And the tomb itself screams rushed job. It's embarrassingly small compared to other pharaohs' final resting places, barely adequate for a minor noble. Some of the wall paintings look unfinished, the colors faded mid-stroke, as if the artists dropped their brushes and ran when time expired. The massive stone sarcophagus is chipped on the corners, gouged as if panicked workers had to smash pieces off just to cram it into the cramped chamber. When researchers examined the other treasures more closely, the inconsistencies multiplied. The vanishing queen. Her name was Nefertiti. You've seen her face, that famous, painted bust with the impossibly long neck and the knowing smile. She was Tutankhamun's stepmother, wife of the heretic pharaoh Akhenaten, the king who tried to destroy Egypt's ancient gods and replace them with worship of the sun disk. But Nefertiti was no passive queen. After her husband died, she did something unprecedented. Scholars now believe she may have seized the throne herself, ruling all of Egypt as pharaoh under a new name. Then she vanished. Completely. Her tomb has never been found. Her mummy has never been identified. One moment she's the most powerful woman in the ancient world. The next, she simply disappears from history, like someone erased her on purpose. Researchers began connecting the threads. If Nefertiti died before Tutankhamun, and if she had her own burial mask prepared as befitting a pharaoh, and if Tutankhamun died suddenly with nothing ready for his burial, the mathematics worked out perfectly. The pierced ears made sense. She was a woman. The feminine features made sense. It was her face. The rushed modifications made sense. They had 70 days to transform a queen's mask into a king's, but proving it was impossible. You would have to damage the mask to look beneath the surface, and no one on Earth was going to authorize that. For decades, the Nefertiti theory remained exactly that, a theory, whispered about at conferences, dismissed by the establishment, tantalizing but unprovable. Then, in 2014, someone broke the mask, and that accident would eventually expose everything. The disaster that changed everything. The story made international headlines. During a routine cleaning at the Egyptian Museum in Cairo, a worker accidentally bumped the mask. The long braided beard, a sacred symbol of divine kingship that had remained attached for 3,300 years, snapped clean off. What happened next was almost worse than the break itself. Instead of calling expert conservators, panicked museum staff grabbed the first adhesive they could find. Industrial-strength epoxy. The kind you'd use to fix plumbing or repair car bumpers. They globbed it onto the golden chin, shoved the beard back into place, and prayed nobody would notice. Everyone noticed. Yellow adhesive smeared visibly across the sacred artifact's face. Egypt's greatest treasure, which had survived 33 centuries of tomb raiders, conquests, and revolutions, had been damaged by hardware store glue. The Egyptian government brought in an international team led by Christian Ekman, a German conservator renowned for his expertise in ancient metalwork. His mission was to fix the beard properly, to undo the damage. But here's the catch. Before reattaching anything, he would scan the entire mask using X-ray fluorescence technology. He would finally answer the Nefertiti question, one way or another. His logic was sound. If the face had been cut from another mask and soldered onto this one, the XRF scanner would show it. Different gold, compositions, solder lines, chemical signatures of ancient alteration. His team spent months scanning every millimeter of the mask's surface. The results seemed definitive. The gold in the face matched the gold in the headdress. The hieroglyphs spelling Tutankhamun's name showed no evidence of being carved over anything else. The delicate glass inlays around the eyes were perfectly intact, and if anyone had applied soldering heat nearby, that glass would have cracked instantly. Case closed. The Nefertiti theory was dead. The mask was 100% Tutankhamun's. Ekman's team removed the epoxy, reattached the beard with beeswax just like the ancient Egyptians would have used, and the mask went back on display. The history books remained unchanged, but a small group of scientists refused to accept the findings. They argued that Ekman's technology had a fatal blind spot. The blind spot X-rays can see density. They can spot cracks, fractures, and solder joints. But here is the catch. What if the ancient craftsmen were more sophisticated than anyone imagined? What if they used gold from the exact same batch to plug the pierced ear holes? What if they hammered the original inscribed name perfectly flat before recarving the new one over it? What if they attached a replacement face so precisely that the seam was only a few atoms thick? X-rays would see nothing. They cannot read the thermal history of metal. They cannot distinguish between gold that was poured once and gold that was reheated, hammered, and reworked centuries later. To see that kind of evidence, you would need an entirely different technology, something that could read the memory stored within atoms themselves. By 2024, that technology existed, and a team of scientists secured permission to use it. The scan that rewrote history, Dr. Helena Voss, is a materials physicist at the Max Planck Institute in Munich. Her specialty is quantum resonance imaging, a technology so advanced it barely exists outside classified military laboratories. In late 2024, her team received authorization from the Egyptian Ministry of Antiquities to perform a non-invasive scan of the mask. Officially, it was a calibration exercise. They wanted to prove their equipment worked on ancient gold artifacts. They weren't expecting to find anything Ekman had missed. The scan took place after the Grand Egyptian Museum closed for the night. Security guards locked the doors. The cleaning crews went home. Only the hum of climate control systems broke the silence. Dr. Voss later described the setup to colleagues. The scanner emitted a soft, almost musical tone. The mask sat motionless beneath the quantum beam, its golden surface catching the faint blue glow of the equipment. Data streamed across laptop screens in real time, scrolling faster than the human eye could follow. For hours, everything confirmed what they already believed. Then the scanner focused on the cartouche, the sacred oval containing Tutankhamun's royal name. Dr. Ahmed Hassan, an Egyptologist from Cairo University who was present that night, said the room went dead silent. On screen, beneath the carved hieroglyphs that spelled Tutankhamun, the quantum imager was revealing something else. A pattern of atomic displacement that should not exist. Evidence that the gold in that precise location had been hammered, scraped, and reworked in ways found nowhere else on the entire mask. Dr. Voss ordered the technician to run the scan again. Same result. She ordered a complete recalibration. Same result. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, a metallurgist from Kyoto University who was monitoring the data remotely, said she couldn't process what she was seeing. Her voice cracked when she spoke. "We need to run it again. This can't be right." But the readings were unambiguous. Someone had beaten the original hieroglyphs into oblivion and carved new ones directly over them. And that wasn't the most disturbing finding. Not even close. The ghost. Beneath the gold. The team ran a complete structural analysis of the mask. What they discovered dismantled a century of assumptions. First, the ears. The X-rays had shown solid gold. The quantum scan revealed something different. Two perfect cylindrical plugs. Someone had filled the original pierced holes with rods of chemically identical gold alloy, then hammered and polished them until the seams were invisible to any technology that existed before 2024. The ears had been plugged. The mask was originally made for someone who wore earrings. Second, the face. The quantum imager detected what Dr. Voss called thermal ghosting around the entire perimeter where the face meets the headdress. This is a molecular signature, evidence that the gold along that exact outline had been superheated to a different temperature than the surrounding metal at some point in the distant past. The ancient craftsmen hadn't soldered from the front. That would have cracked the glass eye inlays. Instead, they attached the replacement face from behind, using high-pressure heating that left the visible surface flawless. The seam was invisible to X-rays, but the atoms remembered. The face had been cut out and replaced. The room fell silent. Dr. Hassan finally spoke. He asked if the scanner could reconstruct what had been erased. Dr. Voss said yes. By mapping the microscopic traces of the original hammering, the ghostly impressions of the first inscription, the computer could digitally rebuild what had once been carved into that gold. She initiated the reconstruction program. It took 11 minutes, the longest 11 minutes of their careers. Slowly, the original hieroglyphs materialized on screen, emerging from 33 centuries of deliberate concealment. Symbol by symbol, stroke by stroke, the truth clawed its way back from oblivion. Dr. Tanaka, watching from Kyoto on a video call, said nobody breathed, nobody moved. The only sound was the soft whir of the computer processors working through millennia of deception. The name appeared one symbol at a time. It was not Tutankhamun. The name was Neferuaten, the throne name historians believe Nefertiti used when she became pharaoh. The truth beneath the gold, the quantum scan told the entire story. When King Tutankhamun died suddenly, there was no mask ready for him. His powerful successor, a man named Ai, almost certainly claimed Tutankhamun's originally planned grand tomb for himself. The priests were trapped. They had 70 days. No mask, no options. Divine consequences hanging over their heads. So they went to the tomb of the previous pharaoh. They went to Nefertiti. They took her burial mask, and they went to work. Working by torchlight, their hands trembling with the knowledge of what they were doing, craftsmen desecrated a queen's sacred burial goods to save their king's soul. They plugged her pierced ears with gold from the same batch, hammering until no seam remained. They commissioned a new face bearing the boy king's features, younger, more masculine, but close enough in proportion to fit the existing headdress. They cut out Nefertiti's face and attached Tutankhamun's from behind. Using techniques so advanced, the joint remained invisible for over 3,000 years. Then they hammered her royal name flat and carved his in its place. They buried their king wearing a stolen face, and they buried the truth along with him. The questions that remain, the mask now sits in the Grand Egyptian Museum, bathed in soft light, surrounded by tourists who believe they're gazing upon the face of King Tutankhamun. But beneath that golden surface lies the ghost of a vanished queen, hidden for 33 centuries, exposed by a technology that reads the memory of atoms. The official findings haven't been published yet. Verification continues. Academic careers hang in the balance. But the data exists, and it raises questions that will not go away. If the mask was stolen from Nefertiti's tomb, what else in that burial chamber doesn't belong to Tutankhamun? How many of those famous treasures were grabbed from other royal tombs in the same desperate 70-day scramble? And the biggest question of all, Where is Nefertiti's real burial mask? Somewhere beneath the sands of Egypt, in a tomb that has never been found. The answer may still be waiting. 3,300 years of silence, and the golden face that fooled the world. Do you think her true tomb is still out there, waiting to rewrite history again? Let me know in the comments. If this story shattered what you thought you knew about ancient Egypt, smash that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into history's greatest deceptions. See you in the next one.